Hey guys, Brian here. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to talk about lenses. Let's go. In the world of photography and videography, we have lenses. Well, with interchangeable lens systems that these DSLRs use. And I'm just going to go over some of the focal ranges. Well, basically all the lenses that I have. I'm going to start with the wide angle 10 to 18 millimeter. This lens is for a crop sensor camera, so you can't really put this on a full frame camera unless you have like a full frame Sony that will crop your image to allow. This is my 10 to 18 Sony wide angle lens that is only for crop sensor cameras. So what are wide angle lenses good for? Well, wide angle lenses are good for getting wide angles, of course. So I can get really close to the camera, maintain good audio quality, and you can pretty much see, my studio office here that I'm still working on. So right now I'm about a foot away from the camera, and you've got from my head down to about right here, and then you still got some headroom there, and you can see behind me because of the wide angle lens. So next on the list is the 18 to 55 millimeter, and this is also a crop sensor lens, and this lens is good for landscapes. It's good for we're starting to get into the portraits because it is a crop sensor lens. We get that crop effect 1.6 times, so we're actually getting from let's say 24 millimeter to about like an 80 millimeter of something like that, considering the crop factor. So this is good for like landscapes, this is good for street photography, this is good for dipping into a little bit of portraits. Next lens that I want to talk about is the 55 to 250 millimeter. Again, this is a crop sensor lens. My camera is a crop sensor body, so I use crop sensor lenses. I feel like that I would get the best results using crop sensor lenses because I'll be using all of the glass inside the lens, and if I were to use a full frame lens, then I would not be using a portion of the glass, and I'd feel like I'm, wasting glass. I got another zoom lens. This is for full frame. Is the 75 to 300. Can you focus? This usually comes in a kit. When you buy a starter camera, especially a crop sensor camera, you usually get a kit with the 18 to 55 millimeter and a 75 to 300 millimeter. Both of these lenses, the 55 250 and the 75 300, kind of similar ranges. And with these lenses, you can start getting into portrait photography. You got that nice compression when you zoom in, to be able to get a nice background, blurry background, kind of separate your subject from the background, and that's what these lenses are good for. Now let's talk about prime lenses. The one prime lens that I do have is the 50 millimeter 1.8. Now 1.8 means that it's gonna let in a lot more light than those other zoom lenses that I have. This lens is awesome for portrait photography, some macro stuff, not too much. Blurry bokeh. So when you get that blurry background, that's something that we call bokeh. And that bokeh gives us that cinematic look, that professional photographer touch, if you want to say. You get those lights that turn into big, round, blurry things. And it just looks so good. It makes the picture or your image look so much better when you can separate your subject from the background. The next prime lens that I want to talk about, this is not my lens. I borrowed this from work. It's a crop sensor lens because it's an EFS 60 millimeter 2.8. Now the reason why I borrowed this is because it's actually a macro lens. And basically macro means that we can get really close to small things. Yeah, kind of like to get really nice the little details. We want to get close up to a subject and capture the detail. And with macro lenses, you can do that because with the other lenses, you can't get so close. you can't focus. It has a minimal focus distance. This minimal focus distance is, let's see here, roughly like 7 inches or so, 7 or 8 inches. So you can get pretty close with this and get some nice detail. A lens like this would be good for jewelry shots, product photography, food photography, stuff like that. Well, I hope you learned something today about lenses. It's awesome to have multiple options when it comes to lenses, and sometimes it's great to just have a lens that does it all. This 18-55, it's good for like landscapes and street photography. The 55 to 250 and the 75 to 300 is good for the telephoto stuff like wildlife. It can also be used as a portrait lens. And then the 51.8 is a great lens for portraits, especially if you're trying to separate your subject from the background to get a really nice bokeh effect. And then you got your wide angle lenses for stuff like this, and also for stuff like, you know, your everyday vlog. If you're vlogging, you know, down the street or wherever you want to vlog, don't know. And then you got the prime lenses like that 60mm macro lens, which is awesome for food photography. It's awesome for jewelry shots or product shots. So you can get in really close, capture a lot of detail. This is hazy. Isn't she pretty? Hope you like this video. Like, subscribe, share. Bye.